anybody here know Ms. Treadaway? Okay, we also have a couple of other members who may be in and out of the courtroom doing other things. Ashton Galloway, Crystal Gossett, Nick O'Connor. Anybody know these people? Does anybody here know Mr. Kilgore? Does anybody here know Mr. Lumpkin? Does anybody here know Mr. Rodriguez? And does anybody here know the defendant in this case? Okay, no hands. Okay, some preliminary questions just to make sure we've got your questionnaires, those little things y'all filled out with information about yourselves and things like that. I do have some follow-ups to make sure, because some questions were asked, some weren't, just to make sure you're legally qualified. First of all, is there anybody here who is not a United States citizen? Anybody here that is not a United States citizen? I ask that because we have a new juror roll system for jury pools, and sometimes we're getting people who may be permanent residents but not legally citizens. So, anybody here not a United States citizen? Okay, no hands. Is there anybody here who now does not reside in Glenn County? Is there anybody here who doesn't live in Glenn County as their primary residence anymore? Okay, no hands. I know juror number 2, you're pretty close, but is anybody here who is not?
You're wondering what I was going to say, weren't you? Yeah. How old are you? 19? Okay. Is there anybody here younger than juror number 2? No hands. All right. So you're all qualified in that regard. Is there anyone here who has been convicted of a felony and not had your rights restored? Has anybody here ever been convicted of a felony and not had your rights restored? Just so you know, both parties have access to your criminal histories and stuff. When we ask you questions, we're not trying to embarrass you or anything, but we need to make sure everybody's legally qualified to serve on the jury. So no hands for that. I don't think anybody's going to answer this based on what you told us about your jobs and things so far, but just in case, is there anybody here that is post-certified and has arrest powers? If you know what that means, then maybe, obviously you're not going to be post-certified and not know what that means, but is anybody here post-certified with arrest powers? Okay, no hands. And I don't think this is going to be the case from everybody answering the questions, but is there anybody here who has trouble understanding or communicating in the English language? Okay, no hands. Additionally, is there anyone here who the elected district attorney for Cobb County is Vic Reynolds? That's our boss. Does anybody here know Vic Reynolds or related to Vic Reynolds? No hands. All right. Following up on just knowing us, is there anyone here who thinks that they know somebody who is a prosecutor? Not us, but a prosecutor, either here in Glenn County or somewhere else, that prosecutes crimes. If you do, please raise your hand. Okay, first panel. No hands. Second panel. Okay, let's start right there. Okay, first row, juror 13. And we're using your numbers so you kind of keep an anonymity. Is that the right word? Anonymity. So I'm going to try to use numbers, and you'll figure out, if you don't know what your number is now, you'll figure it out soon enough. Okay, so you're juror 13. Okay. Juror 15. Thank you, ma'am. Juror 16. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, second row, nobody there. Okay, going to the third group. First row, 27. Thank you. And anyone else in the third group? Oh, back over here. Okay, and that's juror 12. Okay, is there anybody here who knows somebody who practices criminal defense? A criminal defense attorney. Does anybody here know somebody that practices criminal defense or has in the past? Okay, we'll start with panel 1. All right, or group 1, sorry. Juror 3, thank you. Juror 4, thank you. And juror 12. Bless you, I think. Okay, second panel. Second group. Nobody, no hands in the second group. All right, third group. Juror 27. Nobody else on that row. Okay, last row. Juror 31. Yes. That's your number. Okay, and juror 34. Is there anyone here that either yourself, a family member, or a friend has ever been involved in any way with a criminal defense firm or a other related organization like Innocence Project, Georgia Justice Project, anything like that? Is there anybody here that either yourself, a family member, or a close friend has ever been involved in a criminal defense firm or any of those organizations? If so, raise your hand. Okay. Nobody in the first panel or first group? Second group? All right. Juror 13. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Second row. That's going to be juror 23. Okay. Last group. Juror 27. And juror 34. Who here knows somebody that works in the court system? Either in like a clerk's office, could be in a DA's office, could be a judge or somebody in a judge's office or something like that. Does anybody here know somebody who works in the court system? Can either be here or somewhere else. Okay. Starting with the first group. Juror number 4. Thank you. And juror 12. Okay, second group. Excuse me. Juror 13. Juror 14. Juror 15. Did you raise your hand? I'm sorry. Okay. Not juror 15. Juror 16. Second row. Is that juror 20? 21. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I missed it. Didn't see all the way over there. Okay, 21. And juror 23. 18?
It's 18 already.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see. Your hand was up. Your hand's going to be right behind his head. Not his, right there. So you stick it up a little bit higher. There you go. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, juror 18. Okay. Nobody else in that row. Third row or third group. Start juror 25. Juror 27. Are you just going to raise your hand for everything?
Apparently.
It sounds like it. Yes. All right. Thank you. Okay. Juror 27. Juror. Let's see. Oh, that's going to be to the back row then. Juror 31. Okay. Juror 34. And juror 35. Thank you. All right, as you probably figured out, there are going to be a lot of witnesses not from this area in this case that may testify, may not testify, but we have a large list of people to read off. What I'm going to do is read a lengthy list of names. If for some reason you think you know any of these people who are possible witnesses, please raise your hand. Now, not all these people are going to be called as witnesses in this case, but it's a list that's exhausted just to make sure we don't have anybody that knows or is related to anybody involved or possibly involved in this case. So bear with me. Also, I will warn you, it sounds like it's going in alphabetical order, and you're going to think that this is done. Well, it starts back up going over again in another alphabetical way. So I'm going to go ahead and warn you so you don't start grumbling at me any more than you probably already are. All right. Let's start. I'm just going to read off the names, scan the room, and unless I see a hand, I'm going to keep going, okay? All right. Philip Stoddard. Kenneth Adamczyk. Stephen Aubin. Jonathan Bratley. Everett Sabula. Robin Clements. Pamela Colson. Philip Cronin. Robert Lee Duncan. Ralph Escamillo. James Farrell. Lindsay Folia. Randall Foley. Brett Gallimore. Shanae Jeter. Carrie Grimstead. Excuse me. Quinn Harris. Jeremy Holt. Kelly Hooper. Christopher Jeroman. Carl Jones. Philip Jones. John Knobloch. Dee Mangold. Levon Mason. Sean Murphy. Thomas Knowles. G.M. Ord. A.G. Panchame. Jacqueline Piper. P.R. Pritchett. David Racy. William Rast. Eric Rich. Nicole Shadow. Bradley Schumpert. Ronson Bridges Smith. Edward Stockinger. Lawrence Zinowski. Sorry. Zeniawski. David Thorpe. Peter Waldorf. Stanley Wheeler. Raymond Yeager. All right. Chelsea Doster. Jason Abdo. Kimberly Bell. You see, this is where we're starting up again. Sorry about that. Jason Velati. Ashley Birmingham. Hayden Bond. Renee Booker. Andre Brown. Devontae Brown. Edward Cockerham. Angela Cornett. Daniela Carmen Doer. Terrell Dudley. David Dustin. Eric Dustin. Artika Eastland. David Eklund. Ruben Elamine. Jelani Etienne. Karima Fletcher. Melanie Gibson. Marshall Grant. Michelle Gray. Jose Guerra. James Hall. Dale Hamilton. Azure Hawkins. James Hawkins. Caitlin Hickey. Wesley Houston. Craig Kaplan. Christian Likely. Mary Loudermilk. Leonard Madden. Regina Malloy. Jane Meadows. Michael Merritt. Winston Milling. Darlene Mills. Brandon Moore. Christy Nurbin. Joey Nesbitt. Anthony Pantano. Jonathan Parker. Jeff Parton. Kiata Patrick. Naomi Peavy. Jim Persinger. Chris Redman. Let's see. Aaron Richmond. John Ridley. Jacqueline Robledo. Pramod Salian. Charles Sanders. Molly Sims. Elizabeth Smith. Alexandra Swindell. Bob Tressel. David Tyler. Kyle Weston. Bridget Williams. Mark Wilson. Ashley Womack. Tequila Yarborough. David Brainey. Lisa Holt. Larry Llewellyn. Casey Wilson. Brian Frist. Martin Jackson. Peyton Barwick. Allison Schaefer. Steve Thurlow. Alvin Ashurst. Michael Beekman. Michael Charles Bridges. Sean Gray. Troy Douglas Smith. Cassie Acato. Deborah Walicki. Leanna Harris. Shannon Doster. Devin Clayton Jones. Terrence Murphy. Amanda Dallas. Bushan Agakar. Amy Bajents. Michael Bajents. Jason Bryant. Angie Bond. Gene Brewer. Heather Coyle. David Diamond. Sarah Duquette. David Eldridge. Kristen Hackey. Ryan Henry. Billy Kirkpatrick. Evan Matches. Scott Moulton. Joe Siney. Michael Simmons, Deborah Ann Smith Taylor, J.T. Summers, Roger Webb, Quentin Austin, Jeffrey Jackson, Cecil Payne. Anybody raise their hands to any of those names that I missed? Okay, no hands. All right, now I'm going to ask you some questions just generally about your work experience. I'm going to ask some questions about whether you've had supervisory duties, the ability to hire and fire, some things like that, okay? So kind of starting off with that. Who here currently has or has in the past had management or supervisory duties over other employees? Who here has had that? Okay. And that is, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to combine this into two real quick. I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you had supervisory duties, and if you have also had the ability to hire and fire, let me know when I get to you, okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, juror number 1. You've had supervisory duties.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and have you ever had the ability to hire and fire?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, next juror, juror 3. Okay. And have you ever had the ability to hire, I guess not the opportunity, but I guess the duty to hire and fire?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Juror number 4. And have you had the duties to hire and fire before?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else in that row? Okay. Next row, juror 12. All right. And have you had the duties to hire and fire?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Y'all can probably tell I'm from the South by the way I say hire and fire. So, all right. Next group, juror 13.
Mr. Gordon.
Oh yes. Oh, sorry. All right. Juror 9. Thank you. And have you had the duty to hire and fire in the past? Thank you. Okay. Juror 10. Okay. Have you had the duties to hire and fire? All right. Anybody else I missed in that panel or that group? Okay. Second group, juror 13. And have you had to hire and fire before? Okay. 14, no hand. 15, okay. Hiring and firing? Okay. She acknowledged yes. And when I ask you a question, one thing, the court reporter right here is taking down everything. So if you can, just answer out loud as well. I know what you're saying, but it's got to be on the record too, so it's preserved. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, juror 15. Anybody else in the first row? Okay. Juror 17. Thank you. And hire and fire? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, juror 19. Hiring and firing?
Yes.
Okay. All right, juror 20. You've had hiring and firing as well. And juror 22. Same with hiring and firing on that? Okay, thank you. All right, juror 23. Same with hiring and firing? Okay, great. All right, last group, juror 25. Okay, and have you had the ability to hire and fire? Okay. Juror 26. And you've had the ability to hire and fire?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Juror 27?
Yes to both.
Okay, thank you. All right, and juror 30? Okay. Both hiring and firing?
Yes.
All right, last row, juror 31.
Yes.
Just supervision. Great, thank you. Juror 32? Okay. Thank you. Juror 33? All right. 34? And last two. Okay, juror 36. Great, thank you. So we knocked out 2 questions at once, so we didn't have to go back all the way around the room doing that again. So, all right. All right, we're going to go through and I'm going to ask you a series of questions and read off basically a series of different types of occupations and fields. And so if you yourself has worked or had education training in this field, or somebody in your family, or a close personal friend, not just somebody you see them at Quiznos or something, but somebody that you're actually close with. If you have somebody like that, yourself, family member, or a close friend that has had education training or works in one of these particular fields, raise your hand, okay? I'm just going to go with a particular field, take the hands, and then move on to the next one. So the first field is law enforcement. Who here has had either yourself, a family member, or a close friend that has worked in law enforcement? Okay. Let's see. First, let's see. Juror 4. Thank you. Juror 9. Thank you, sir. And Juror 12. All right, second group. Juror 13. Juror 14. Juror 16. Thank you. Juror 17. All right. Juror 18. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Let's see. Second row. Anybody? Juror 22. Thank you, ma'am. Juror 23. And Juror 24. Okay. Now, third group. Juror 25. Juror 26. Juror 27. 28. Okay. 29, you haven't raised your hand on anything, have you? Okay, I may have trouble seeing. Raise your left hand if you have to raise your left. Okay, great. All right. Nobody else in that row? Okay, last group. Okay. Juror 33. Thank you, sir. And Juror 34. Juror 35. And Juror 36. Thank you, sir. Next field, military. We have a lot of people on this one, given this area and everything. Is anybody here, yourself, family member, or a close friend, been in the military? Served in the military? Okay. So, all right. Juror 1. Thank you, sir. Juror 2. Juror 3. Juror 5. Juror 7. Juror 8. Juror 9. Juror 10. Juror 11. And Juror 12. Thank you. All right. Next group. Juror 13. Juror 15. Juror 16. Juror 17. And Juror 18. I have to slow myself down a little bit too because everybody's writing here, and I know where I'm going with this a lot faster than some of the other people, so I'm going to try to slow it down a little bit. I know y'all are real thrilled about going slower, right? Okay. Next row, Juror 20. Juror 21. Juror 22. Juror 23. All right. Last group, Juror 25. Juror 26. Juror 27. Juror 28. Juror 30. Excuse me. Juror 31. Juror 32. Juror 33. 34, 35, and 36. All right, from your answers before, I know we're going to have several hands on this. Who here knows somebody that works in, has either legal training or works in the legal field? Not just prosecutor, criminal defense training, but works as either an attorney, a paralegal, something like that, or who, if you've had training in legal issues, let's say you're a pre-law or something like that. Who here, either yourself, family member, or you have a close friend who has experience in the legal field? Okay, first group. Okay. Juror number 3, thank you. Juror number 4. Juror number 7. Okay, thank you. Juror 10. And juror 12. Thank you, sir. Second group. Juror 13. Juror 15. Juror 16. 17. 18. Next row, juror 19, juror 20, juror 22, 23, and 24. Okay, next row, juror 26, 27, and then last group, juror 31, juror 34, and juror 35. All right. Next question, medical field. Who here, yourself, family member, or a friend, has worked in the medical field, doctor, PA, nurse, something like that? If you, yourself, family member, or friend, close friends, worked in that field, raise your hand. I know several of you actually do it yourself, so it's kind of self-explanatory, but we'll go through it anyway. All right. Juror number 1. Thank you, sir. Juror number 3. Juror number 4. Juror number 7. Juror number 8, 10, and 12. All right. Next group, juror 13, 14, 15, 16, and 18. Next row, juror 20, juror 21, 22, 23, and 24. Okay, last group, 25, 26, 27, and last group, last row, 31, 34, and 35. Okay, now maybe with some of these we'll start getting less hands. We'll see. Okay. Mental health, either psychiatry, psychology, counseling, things of that nature. Yourself, family member, or close friend. Okay. And I don't mean like Psych 101 you had to get in college just because it was some kind of core class. That does not count. You're not an expert in psychiatry or psychology. All right. Juror 1. Thank you. 3. No one else in that count. Okay, next group. Juror 14. 15, 16, no one on that row. Okay. Last group, group 26. Again, 27. I think you and 12 are fighting for those hands raised here. All right. No one else in that row. Last row, juror 31. And juror 34. Okay. The field of neurology or neuroscience. Neurology or neuroscience. Okay. Anybody in the first panel or first group? No hands. Second. You gotta be kidding me. All right. All right. Nobody in the second group. Third group, 27. All right. Anyone else? How about, excuse me, I'm going to kind of put these together. They kind of go together. Child Protective Services, Department of Family and Human Resources, DFACS, Child Protective Services, or sociology. I think those kind of go hand in hand to a degree. Anybody here have training experience or know somebody who's training experience or work in those fields? Okay, first group, no hands. Second group. Juror 14, thank you. Okay, let's see, nobody else on that, okay. Third group, 27. Oh, we got one from 29 now, all right, finally. The one to stick your hand up there, all right. Let's see, 31. 33 and 34. I think 34 is trying to catch it. Okay. How about criminology? Has studied or worked in the field of criminology? If you have or know somebody that has, you will know what that means. Okay. First group. Juror 3. Thank you, sir. Anybody else in that group? No. Second group, juror 18. Thank you. And in the last group, juror 34. And last but not least, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of hands for this. Who here is yourself, a family member, or a close friend that works in the IT field or computer programming, computers, technology like that? Who here does that apply to? Okay, first panel. All right, we got juror 4. Thank you. Juror 7 and juror 12. All right, anybody else? Okay. Second group, juror 13, juror 14. Anybody else? Okay, juror 20. And last group, 27. And 34. Okay, there was a question asked on your questionnaire. We got to get a little more detail on it, just for some clarity. If you've ever served on a jury, what I'm going to ask you generally now, and we'll follow up in individual with more detailed questions about it, but if you have ever served on a jury or a grand jury, I want you to raise your hand. Grand jury is where you come in, you sit with a bunch of other people and decide whether a case should be indicted or not. You have cases presented to you in a group of 23 or so. A jury is something like this. You actually come in and hear the evidence in the case from both sides. So if you've ever served on a grand jury or a jury, please raise your hand. First panel, juror 4. Thank you. Juror 7. Juror 9, thank you, sir. Juror 10. And are you waving?
Well, what have you got as far as this and then dismiss?
Well, we'll talk about it in individual. Perfect. You did exactly the right thing. All right, and juror 12. All right. All right, next group. All right, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 23, 24. Last group, 28. And juror 31. Okay, now I'm going to ask some questions regarding, as the judge had mentioned, we asked some questions about religious or fraternal organizations and things that you may belong to. We'll get more information when we talk to you individually, but just to kind of start with, who here currently attends a church, mosque, temple, or other religious institution? If you attend church or mosque or some other religious institution, just please raise your hand. Okay. All right. Juror 3. 4. 5. Thank you, sir. 7. 8. 9. And 11. And 12. Okay, second group. 13, 14, 15, and I see the whole row, so I'm just going to keep looking while I'm writing. 16, 17, and 18. Okay. Now, next row. 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Okay, last group. 26, 27, okay, and last row, 31, 32, and nobody else. Okay. Who here participates in either a professional, fraternal, or political or other group or organization, kind of that nature? What I'm getting at is a lot of people belong to either Rotary, Kiwanis, NRA, ACLU, community service organizations. Who here belongs to or is active in a professional, fraternal, political, or other association? If you are, just raise your hand. We'll ask you about it more later. Okay. First panel, no hand. Okay. Juror 12. Thank you, sir. Okay, second panel. Our group. Okay, juror 17. Thank you, sir. Okay, juror 23. Right, last group, 27. Anybody else? 34. Okay, I'm going to ask several questions now, just in regard to use of technology, cell phones, the internet, and things like that. Also, kind of dovetailing into social media and some things about that, like how familiar you are with technology and kind of how you use technology. First of all, is there anyone here who does not regularly use a computer or a laptop? Does anybody here regularly not use computers or laptops? Okay. Let me rephrase that. Maybe they'll cancel something out. Computers, laptops, or a smartphone. Okay? All right. You use your smartphone for everything, but you don't raise your hand. Okay. So who does not use those things or for computer access? Nobody in the first panel. Second panel. Okay. That's juror, is it 22? Okay. And juror 32. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone here who does not regularly use a cell phone? Not just for internet service. Is there anybody here who just regularly does not use a cell phone? Basically, your main way of using the phone is your landline. Okay. And that is juror 7. Okay. Great, thank you. Anybody else? No. Okay. Second group, juror 22. All right. And anybody in the third group? Okay, no hands. Who here regularly texts on your cell phone? Who here text messages? I think I'm going to have to rephrase that. That's what I expected. Who here does not text message? Anybody here? Well, let me start it like this. Is there anybody here who uses a cell phone but does not text message? Okay. There's some people that just don't like it because I guess the world has gotten more impersonal over the years, and so there are pluses and minuses. Juror 8. Thank you, sir. Juror 9. Thank you, sir. Okay. All righty. Second group, juror 22. Thank you, ma'am. And juror 24. Thank you, sir. And then nobody in the last group. Okay. Some people actually communicate not via text message, so to speak, but also there are applications you can get on your phone to message other ways, almost like texting, but through other services like Facebook Messenger and things like that. They use to basically text without texting. Who here uses the cell phone applications like WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or something like that to send messages on your phone? Okay. We're finally getting some questions. Number 2 is probably going to answer everything too. So, all right. All right, juror 1, thank you. Juror 2, thank you, sir. Juror 3. Juror 5. And juror 12. Yes. Juror 6. Sorry, sir, I didn't catch you over there. Juror 6. Thank you. All right. Next group. 13, 14, 16, 18, 18. Next row, no hands. Third group. Juror 25. Juror 27. Juror 31. And juror 34. And juror 35. All right. Is there anybody here? Does everybody here knows when I say social media, what I mean? Like Facebook, Twitter, on down the road to some more obscure things. Is there anybody here who does not use social media? Who just doesn't use Facebook at all? Doesn't use any of those things? Okay. All right. First group. Juror 8. Thank you. Juror 9. Juror 10. Oops. Okay. Juror 11. Okay. Next group. Okay. Second row going to be juror 20. 22. And juror 24. And last group, juror 26. Juror 30. Thank you. And last row, juror 32. 33. And 36. Okay. Is there anyone here who has ever, on social media, the internet, things like that, ever communicated with somebody or talked to somebody that you have never met in person? Who here has ever gotten on the internet and either chat rooms or on some type of social media and communicated and talked with somebody you've never met before? Okay. All right. Juror 1. Okay. Juror 2. Juror 3. Juror 7. Okay, second group, juror 16, correct? Yes. Okay, next row, no hands. All right, third group, juror 25. Juror 27. Juror 29. And last group, juror 34. Okay. There's a couple of things I'm going to ask you if you've ever done any of these things. There are about 4 things. So if you've ever done any of these things, go ahead and raise your hand. You're probably like, oh gosh, what's he about to ask? It's not that bad. All right. Who here remembers what a letter to the editor is? All right. Who here has ever written a letter to the editor? Either you could have done it and written it to a newspaper and sent it in trying to get it published, or an online newspaper, written a letter to the editor of some news organization or something like that. Okay, first panel, no, or first group, nobody. Second group, nobody. Third group, juror 34. Okay, we're all trying to get used to the radio stations down here and figure out what we like to listen to and things like that. Haven't got any good sports talk radio stations yet, but a lot of people like to call in and give opinions on talk shows and things like that. Who here has ever called into a radio talk show and voiced an opinion? Okay, nobody in the first group? Nobody in the second group? 34 taking the lead. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Who here has ever posted an opinion or commented on an article or something posted online? Not just like a straight up letter to the editor, but who here has ever voiced an opinion or commented on something online? I know a lot of newspapers and things like that will have sections where you can write a comment in, or maybe something else has been posted on the internet and you give your opinion and respond to it. Who here has done that? Okay. Let's see. Juror 1. Juror 2. Thank you. All right. Juror 7. All right. Second group. Juror 17. Okay, nobody in the second row. Third row. Or third group, I'm sorry. Juror 27. Okay, juror 34. Okay, last of these type of questions for now. Does anyone here operate or write for or contribute to a blog? Who here actually is responsible for operating a blog or contributes to or writes on a blog? If you have, first group, no hands. Second group, Juror 14. Thank you. And no one else. Okay. This had before, I'd had it broken down into a few questions. I'm going to ask it as one, so that way we can follow up an individual. It'll probably take less time doing it that way. Who here is interested in or regularly watches legal TV shows? It could be like Law and Order, all 18 versions, CSI, NCIS, or it could be like the 48, first 48, Forensic Files, kind of the nonfiction ones, or even talk shows like Nancy Grace or Cooper Anderson or any of that stuff. Who here is either interested in or regularly watches those type of shows? Okay. Juror 2. Juror 3. Y'all have all figured out this ain't going to take an hour, right? Okay. That joke bombed. Okay. Juror 5. Thank you, sir. Okay. Juror 7. Juror 8. Juror 10. Juror 11. And Juror 12. All right. Yes.
Number 6, I believe.
Oh, sorry, sir. Don't be afraid to yell at me if I miss you again, okay? All right. Now we're good over here. Okay. Second group. 15. 16. 17. 18. Thank you. 19. 20. 21. Last group, 25, 27, last row, 31, 32, 33, and 36. Okay, is there anyone here who's ever watched a legal documentary or pseudo-documentary or listened to a podcast about legal issues? For instance, there's been certain documentaries or pseudo-documentaries, Serial, Making a Murderer, People versus O.J. They recently had a mini-series kind of taking a take on that. Also, several podcasts, could be AJC's Breakdown or other things like that. Who here has ever watched a legal documentary, docudrama, or listened to a podcast like that? Okay. Juror 1. Juror 2. Juror 3. Okay. Juror 9. Juror 10. Juror 12. Next group, 13, 14, 15, 16, second row, juror 20, and last group, first row, 27, and last row, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 36. Okay, is there anyone here who has ever followed and kept up with an actual criminal trial? Either it being you've gone to the courthouse and watched some of the case, or you followed closely on TV or in the news with particular interest, has really closely kind of watched a criminal case, be it, I know a lot of people followed O.J. years ago, Michael Jackson, there have been a ton of cases over the years. Who here has actually done that, either closely followed by going to a courthouse or watching on TV or following in the news? A criminal case. Okay. Juror number 3. Thank you. Juror 9. Okay. Juror 12. Okay, second group. Yes.
Number 6,
Okay, sorry. Maybe, sir, if you could just raise your hand a little bit up. I guess I'm blind. I'm just not getting it, okay? It's my bad. I apologize, okay? All right. Second group. All right. Juror 15. Juror 16. Juror 17. Okay. Second row, juror 20. And then last group, juror 27. And then final row, juror 33. 34 and 36. All right, the judge has already asked you several questions about who here has kids, grandkids, some great grandkids. What I'm going to ask now is some questions about work with children. First, is there anybody here who's ever worked in a volunteer capacity with kids? Could be leading Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, coaching, working in the YMCA, YWCA, things like that. Who here has ever volunteered with children? I expect when we follow up, a lot of it's going to be with your own kids, but okay. Juror 2, Juror 3, Juror 7, Juror 9. Thank you, sir. Juror 12. Okay. Second group. Excuse me. Juror 14. Juror 18. Next row, juror 20. Juror 21. Juror 23. And juror 24. Now, last row, or last group, juror 26, 27, and 32, and 34. Okay, you do not have to answer this question if you've already stated and told us that you work in a school or your job that you currently work in is with children if it's obvious. So what I'm going to ask, who here has ever worked in a paying capacity with children? Your job was working with children. It was a job you held down and you actually got paid for. And if you're a teacher and you've already told us you're a teacher, you don't have to raise your hand. All right. Juror number 2. Thank you. Juror 3. Juror 4. Juror 7. Okay. Second group. Juror 13. Juror 22. And let's go to the last row. Juror 31. And 33.
Are you at a good place for a break, Mr. Boyd?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a lunch break. Recall what I told you. Keep an open mind. Don't discuss this matter with others or let anyone speak.